What's happening, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Today is the day we are going to go ahead and assemble the engine for the Trailblazer SS project. So here's what we got. This is the short block that's going to be going in the Trailblazer. I'll give you a quick rundown of what we did to this. Chris Hall, buddy of mine, put this short block together for me because I don't have the machining equipment to do it. Basically what we have is a stock crankshaft. We have Texas Speed forged H-beam rods and Wiseco forged pistons that are a negative 3.2 cc. So Chris originally built the engine for my Tahoe project, which you guys may or may not remember. So I took this up to him. I provided the block, the crank, rods and pistons, and he did the rest. So this is all new bearings, new rings. The pistons are a 4005, so he honed all the cylinders, cleaned everything, set up the rings for boost in case I decide to go that way one day. New cam bearings. He also found a cylinder that was a little sunk in, so he decked the block 8 thousandths and did a phenomenal job putting it together. I love using Chris for all this stuff. So with the block decked 8 thousandths, the negative 3.2 cc pistons with valve reliefs, and Chris also cut the heads 30 thousandths. I'm hoping for about 11.5 to 1 compression out of this engine. The plan is to run it on pump gas and then switch over to E85 once I get everything sorted out. So yeah, this is my short block and the cylinder heads that Chris did as well. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about the parts individually as I put the engine together. The camshaft, valve springs, oil pump, stuff like that, and the different things that I'm going to do because this is going into a Trailblazer. But I'll give you the quick rundown. So like I said, stock cubic inch, pretty high compression for a stock engine. I'm going to be using an RPM Motorsports Big Show camshaft, which sounds rowdy. If you go to our Facebook page, you can check out some videos of our different camshafts and what they sound like. So that's pretty much the biggest cam that we sell, called the Big Show camshaft. And then a bunch of other little things here and there just to make it work good in the Trailblazer. Everyone knows they have oiling issues, so I'm going to try to take care of that as we work through this engine build. So when I build an engine, how I like to do it is start in the center and then work from the bottom and go up. So the first thing we're going to do is the camshaft. Get the timing set in it, get the oil pump on it, flip it over, do oil pan, and then work our way up to lifters, cylinder heads, intake manifold, and stuff like that, front rear cover, all that kind of stuff. Alright, so here's our RPM Motorsports Big Show camshaft. It is big, and you'll see as I go through this engine assembly, I'm going to lubricate everything that I install in this engine, and the reason for that is, even if you prime the engine, it's still going to take a while for oil pressure to get to all these components. So you want to make sure everything is pre-lubricated so that you don't have a dry startup on any of these parts. So we use Royal Purple Max Tough Assembly Lube. I'll go ahead and stick this thing in. When you install the camshaft, you want to be very careful when you slide it through the cam bearings. You don't want to nick any of your new bearings. The next step is going to be our new cam retainer plate and cam retainer plate bolts. Same scenario, you want to lube the back of your cam retainer plate because this rides against the camshaft. You want to make sure you don't start it up dry. Now if you're replacing these bolts, they already come with blue Loctite on them, so we'll get these in. You guys are going to see me do this a lot. I'll run bolts in with the impact, but I will not tighten them with the impact. I'm going to go ahead and torque these now. Alright, so we have our old cam gear here, old crank gear, new timing chain. Now this block doesn't have provisions for a tensioner or a cam bridge. I'll show you that in a second. And I'll show you how to line up your timing marks as well. Don't forget you want to lube the back of this because it rides against the cam retainer plate. These are ARP cam bolts. We're going to install these with red Loctite. Alright, you can see the dot on our crank gear lines up with the dot on the cam gear. Those are torqued, and that's going to be it for the cam install part. What I'm going to do next is put on the oil pump, and then we'll flip it over and start with the oil pan. Okay, so this is a Melling 10296. This is a high volume, high pressure pump for an LS engine, aluminum body. It does come with a low pressure spring if you don't want to have your oil pressure as high as, well, 8 to 10 pounds more than the low pressure spring. It also gives you a guide for which O-ring that you need to use in the oil pump. We'll go ahead and bolt this guy on. Alright, what I'm going to do next is install the rear cover with a new seal and gasket. The reason I want to do this is the rear cover and the front cover need to sit flush with the pan rail so that the oil pan can sit nice and flush and seal well. So I'm going to sneak it in here real quick and tighten it down. Alright, now before I tighten this down, what I like to do is take a straight edge and lay it across the cover so that you can make sure it's in line with the pan rail on the block. So before I put the front cover on, I want to get the windage tray on and the oil pickup tube on this. So let me show you what I'm going to do for that. Okay, so what we have here is a C6 Corvette oil pan that will go on this engine. Now, any oil pan will fit any block in the LS family. The reason I'm doing this is Trailblazer oil pans are notorious for having oiling issues because it puts the pickup in the front. Now this will fit without modifying anything in the Trailblazer, except you need a bracket for the AC compressor, which I'll show you later. And the only thing that makes this swap difficult is the cross member passes under where the oil filter goes. So if you notch out the cross member, no issues there. But this windage tray, pickup tube, and oil pan are from a C6 Corvette, and it will bolt right onto this engine. Now that our windage tray is on, we're going to put our pickup tube on. What I like to do is put some lube in the oil pump so that it doesn't start dry. And we're going to lube the oil ring before we put the oil pump pickup on. You need to be real careful that you don't pinch this O-ring when you install it, because that'll lead to oil pressure issues. And then we'll bolt this down tight. Now that our window tray, oil pump, and pickup tube are installed, we're going to install the front cover the same way we did the rear, with a straight edge, making sure that it's all lined up. Before we install the oil pan, we need to put 4 little dots of silicone where these 4 corners meet, just to help it seal up, and then we'll tighten it down. Okay, now we have the bottom of our short block complete. The next step is going to be valve train and cylinder heads. But I'm going to break this video up into 2 sections, so this will conclude the first section of building the short block. Second section, we'll go ahead and do the heads. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Be on the lookout for the second video. It should be within a couple days of this one. Don't forget, always follow me on Instagram. I try to post up about this stuff that I'm doing daily. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next time.